Hi everyone.
Hi, welcome to our channel, Wake Up to Love. Daniel and I are going to be sharing our beautiful love story of how we came together. Our story is so powerful, so inspiring. Every time we share this story to someone, they're just blown away at how we came together by divine forces. There were so many signs, so many synchronicities. We were just divinely led, and so many moving parts had to happen in order for us to come together. And I mean, we're soulmates. We're soulmates. And we found each other, and we just want to share this story because it's so beautiful and it's so inspiring. We'll probably take turns because he has a side of the story, I have a side of the story. There's two timelines like this, and certain things had to happen within each of our lives in order for us to come together at the perfect time. For me, one of the signs and synchronicities was, and I'll just share this information. So my very first boyfriend was a Scorpio. And the day that we started dating, or, he asked me out or whatever, because I was young, it was October 21st, right? Yeah, October 21st. So those two things right there. Another thing is that my son is also Scorpio.
I'm a Scorpio.
And he's a Scorpio. Yeah, so this kind of plays a part into like little things, right? But it kind of comes, that comes later. And then I don't know if you've ever heard of human design, but my son is a human design, and so is Daniel.
Projector.
Oh, what did I say? Human design? He's a human design. No, he's projector. My son is a projector, and Daniel's also a projector. I'm a manifesting generator. My daughter's a manifesting generator. And those were like just kind of mirroring things like once we got together. But okay, so now that you know those details, let's see. So how do we begin? Let's start with, I was looking.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I was out in search of, should I say it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was looking for ayahuasca, and I joined meetup groups in Los Angeles. I didn't live in Los Angeles at the time. I lived, a couple hours outside of the city. So I joined some spiritual psychedelic meetup groups in Los Angeles. And, at the time, I was kind of talking to someone with the name Daniel, and my best friend's name was Danny. My lawn guy's name was Daniel. Like, this name just kept popping up in my reality. So on Meetup, it said, you and this person have multiple meetup groups together. So meetup.com is not a dating website. It's just to find groups of people with similar interests in your local area, so you can make friends doing the things that you love. So like they have one for like a kayaking group, or music, or hiking, whatever it is, right? So tennis, exactly. Yeah, so this name popped up. I clicked on it. Name was Daniel, and I was like, oh, okay, interesting, but I didn't really think anything of it. So then I had the intuition to go to Sedona. So I joined meetup groups in Sedona in hopes to make some connections before I went on my trip. And after I joined, the meetup groups, it said again, another message popped up, a notification saying, you and this person, Daniel, have multiple meetups together. And this was like a year later. And I was like, that's so interesting. This guy's name popped up again. And I was like, I'm not going to take it as coincidence. I'm looking for something. I don't even live in Sedona. Like, these meetup groups are for local groups, so the fact that it's in a completely different state and it's telling me this person has multiple meetup, the same meetup groups as you. I'm like, that's really weird. I've never been to Sedona. So, and it was only one person. So I was like, this is a sign. This is the universe, is God, whatever, like leading me in the right direction. So I clicked on his name, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just message him and see if he knows anybody there, like, because he also belonged to the psychedelic meetups in Los Angeles. I was like, whatever, I'm just going to message this guy out of the blue. It was such a strange message, right?
I thought it was a scam at first.
Yeah, I just got this random message from this girl.
All I see is a picture of a pretty girl,
Yeah. So I messaged him, and I was like, hey, I'm looking for this. And I was talking on the down low, and I was like, can you help me? I'm going to Sedona. do you know anybody? And he's, what did you say? You're like, yeah.
Yeah, I told her to go to this place and talk to this person, and they'll lead you in the right direction.
At that point, I went to see an intuitive healer. I was seeing someone at the time who I thought was my soulmate. There was a deep, a spiritual connection, and I went to talk to her about it because I was getting a lot of mixed signals. And she's like, nope, this person's not right for you. She's like, but there is somebody else out there for you. And I just kind of brushed it off. Maybe 6 months later, I went to see her again, and she goes, this person wants to come into your life very soon. Like, he's so close. You've already connected with him in some way, like through some sort of a friend or something. She didn't know, like, friend kind of came to her intuitively, which is funny because meetup.com is a place where you meet friends, right? But she told me I had to let go of some things that were holding me back energetically. She said, once I let go of these blocks, my soulmate is just going to flow into my life. So at this point, I cut ties with the person. I was like, that's it. I'm not, going to do this back and forth thing anymore. And, I want my soulmate to come into my life. Like, I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I decided to cut myself off from the world for the next 2 weeks, or it only took 2 weeks, but I just cut myself off from everything. Social media, I wasn't really going out, wasn't really talking to anybody. And I just submerged myself in law of attraction material, just getting into that feeling of abundance and the law of attraction and, manifesting, meditating, going out and putting my feet out in the grass and just connecting to nature for like the next 2 weeks and not really having any outside influence. My kids would go to school and I would just eat raw, taking care of myself, my mind, body, and spirit. And I just got so in alignment. And I felt so much bliss, so much love, just connected to myself and my purpose and to God. I got to a point where I was like, I don't really even care if my soulmate comes. Like, I'm just so happy, like so complete within myself. And I was riding in the car one day. It was at night, I believe. Windows were down, and I had this song on, Kodaline's All I Want. And the instrumental buildup came, and it was so powerful, and I felt so much love. My heart was so open. I felt so connected. I started to cry because I just felt my soulmate. I felt his energy. Like I felt him like just being drawn to me. Like, he's searching for me. I'm searching for him. It was like our energy, like, even outside of my control. I just put my head out the window and I screamed at the top of my lungs as loud as I could. My eyes, I was bawling. I was crying. I was just like having this epiphany. Like, I knew with every, ounce of my being, every single cell, every molecule was just vibrating. And I screamed out the window just to the universe, to everything. And I said, bring him to me. And at that moment, it was like I felt my words reverberate into all of existence. I don't even know how to explain it. I wasn't on any kind of drugs or anything. It was the most profound spiritual experience I had ever had. And I just was crying. I was bawling my eyes out. And the music was in the background and the wind was blowing in my hair and it was so beautiful. And at that moment, it was like I felt him. I knew that he was already on his way. Like, whatever was happening that I can't see in some other dimension, all the little workings, everything was happening. He was like, I knew he was coming into my life. And then three days after that, I got another text message from Daniel.
So at that time, I was also going through a sort of cocoon type period in my life where, I was cutting all the outside influences in my life. I was living in a little studio apartment by myself, and I was really meditating a lot, going out in nature, and really trying to visualize the life I wanted. And one night, I had a dream about a woman. We had gone out, and we went to dinner, and then we went out to some dancing together, and we just had this beautiful time. And I don't remember what her face looked like. I just remember her and the feeling of being with her. And I woke up that morning and I had this like insight that I was ready to meet my soulmate. maybe an hour after that those thoughts that I had when I woke up that morning, not even really thinking about it anymore. I was on my phone and I went on the Meetup app and I noticed Jamie's message. It just popped up at me, and I thought, let me just message her and say, "How was your trip to Sedona?" So I sent her a message and said, "How was your trip to Sedona?" And she started responding to me and said that she hadn't gone yet. And from there, I think we had like a couple more exchanges from there. Oh, and I said, if I ever come to California, I think we ended it with, if I ever come to California, I'll look you up or I'll hit you up, right? Something like that. I think we ended that first conversation like that.
Yeah. Like, well, we had a really great conversation, but the interesting thing is that that's when the first conversation we had that night. This is the interesting part. That day was September 21st. And that is also the day that we talked about our personal information. We were both vegan, and I found out, he told me he was a Scorpio, and we both had birthdays that were on holidays. So there was just like little things like, yeah, maybe you can brush it off, but and the thing is that, what?
Well, I was just going to say, then we didn't really think of anything from the conversation. Just, it was a nice conversation. If I ever come to California,
make friends, meet up or
something,
right?
Friends or something. Because we're on a meetup, but both of us are not thinking about dating or anything like that at the time. We weren't in that mindset. And going back to
but I did have, the thing what Joy said,
right,
where she was like, he's coming soon. So like that night, I was like, that's interesting. We have a lot in common. The date, the Scorpio. I was like, okay, maybe I should message him back, because I was like, maybe, the sign wasn't that he was leading me to ayahuasca. Maybe the sign was, to find my soulmate. Maybe all of this was happening to find my soulmate. So I wasn't sure. I didn't want to read too much into it. But then the next morning, I think I messaged you again because he had told me that he had some really great experiences in Bali and Thailand. And I was so, well, he said they were psychedelic experiences. He had like some plant medicine experiences, and I was interested because that's what I was really looking for. At the time, I was looking for this deep spiritual growth. So then I asked him, what did I ask you? I just said, hey, I would love to hear more. Because we just left it like, hey,
like I said,
if you ever come to California,
send me a message. Maybe we'll meet up. We didn't really say that. We just said, send me a message if you ever come to California. That's how we ended it. And then you messaged me the next day. And then we just started to talk, and we kept going and going. And we wrote
I asked you to share my story, your story.
Right. You asked me to share my story.
And you said everything.
I was for some reason, I just felt inclined to just share everything. And
you don't usually do that, right?
No, it's not really something I do. I just felt with her, it was just very easy to just say what I want to say authentically, without feeling judged
judgment.
or like I had to pull back or not say some things. That just felt like saying it all. And we just typed pages and pages, and she responded back. I asked her what her story was. She told me her story. And maybe 3 days in, I had this insight before we started talking again. And at this point, we hadn't had any phone conversation. It was just messages on the Meetup app, not even no phone number exchanges, nothing, just continuous messages on the Meetup app, a lot of messages. And I realized that maybe she was the girl I had the dream about. And from there, I told her that, and then we just continued to talk for more and more after that.
Around the second or third day of just messaging each other, and just so you know, all we have is a photo, one photo or profile photo.
Yeah, no social media exchange.
Nothing. No social media, no other photos, no phone call, no video, nothing. The second or third day, I was already starting to develop feelings.
Me too.
And that's when I was like, I think this is my soulmate.
Yeah.
Like
I felt
2 or 3 days, I was like, this feels so, I'm going to cry. And I was like,
do you remember? Better, yeah, it just felt better than any interaction I've ever had with anybody. It just felt like we knew each other already. Like we were.
There was no doubt. There was no doubt. There was no back and forth. It did not feel like a karmic relationship. It just, everything just flowed beautifully, divinely. It was like this beautiful synergy of energy. There was no like, one person, is chasing the other person, and, one person's more open, the other person's more closed off. And no, it was just like, there was nothing held back.
Yeah.
We didn't hold back at all.
No. And I felt, those feelings when you're young, like those butterflies when I wasn't talking to her, like I want to talk to her again. was feeling those kinds of things?
I personally fell in love really young, and I didn't think that I would ever love that deeply before. And that is another sign. The boyfriend that I had that was a Scorpio, the way that I felt with him, my very, very first love, is how I felt that same butterfly feeling. And I didn't think I would ever experience that ever again. And that was another sign. I was like, okay, maybe that relationship when I was young came into my life to show me, so that when Daniel came into my life, to recognize it as, this is your soulmate. Don't brush it off. Right.
Right.
So this is how far back this is going. It's like almost like it was planned out even before anything. And the interesting thing is that every time that I was in another relationship, even my last marriage, even though I loved, my husband or these past boyfriends, I just it never felt right. There was always this guessing or this question of like, is this the right person I'm supposed to be with? And I always was looking elsewhere. Or just wondering if there's somebody else. I always felt like there was somebody else out there, like, for me.
Yeah, me too. And I always felt like I couldn't be my full self with everybody else that I'd been with. But when we were talking, it just felt like I could just be myself. And one conversation we had, we told each other, I want to grow with you like I've never grown with anybody else before. I've never said that to anybody. It just felt so real when we said it, like it was a premonition of a future experience together.
Another thing too, when we were talking through these messages, is that we had a very similar purpose in life.
Yeah.
And we realized that we were brought together not just to be in a relationship and not just to, be in love, but we had a greater purpose in this world. And we are here on a mission together, and that's what we are. That's what we've been doing for the past 5 years.
Together, yeah.
So it hasn't been easy. We're going to continue getting to the story. Our relationship has not been easy, but I can't see myself with anyone else.
Yeah, me too.
And we know that we have a mission, and that's what we're working towards.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, where did we leave off?
So we've been talking back and forth, and then maybe a week in after we started talking, we kind of both had this feeling like we love each other, like we want to be together, just after a week. And
wait,
yeah.
It was after 1 week. Oh, but we didn't tell all the other stuff in the story. Let's finish telling the stuff of your side of the story of.
Yeah, I was wondering when we were gonna put that.
Let's put it in now.
Okay.
So now we're gonna go to Daniel's side of the story, and why don't you tell them how you were living you moved to Asia.
Okay, so
wait. When did the nutrition course happen?
So
was that before you moved to Asia?
It was before I moved to Asia.
Okay, so start from there.
Okay. So at maybe in 2011, I decided to take a nutrition course. I was starting to get into health a lot more, and that's when I first became vegetarian and eventually vegan. And I was really interested in nutrition and health. And so I just took this random nutrition course at an adult learning center. And one day in class, the woman who was sitting behind me, she said, "Can I speak to you outside for a minute?" And I said, "Sure, yeah, all right." And I went outside with her, and she says, "You don't have to believe me, but I'm an intuitive. And I had a prophetic dream about you, that you had this great purpose that you can fulfill in life. And I think you should read this book." She told me to read the Peaceful Warrior. And she also told me to go to Sedona. And if I hadn't gone to Sedona, then me and Jamie would have never had those meetups in common where I went to Sedona. So that's one of the synchronicities we had.
She told him,
yeah, she told me specifically go to Sedona.
And right. And then, okay, keep going.
So she told me to go to Sedona, probably to enhance my spiritual path, like to grow my spiritual path, but also because, if I hadn't done that, I might not have met Jamie. We might not have connected back then. So at that point, I decided I was at a point where I was transitioning out of my job, and I was ready to do something different. I wanted to get into more spiritual growth and wellness and health. So I left Canada, where I was living, and I went to move to to Asia, where I worked for Mind Valley.
When did you go to California? Was it before?
Okay.
Yeah, because he took a trip to.
Let me start here. Okay, so said after I said Sedona. Okay. And also after I had the woman told me about Sedona, I also was really starting to feel like I want to go to California. Like that's where I really want to be. So I took a few trips. I took one to.
Can I put a little pause out?
Yeah.
When I was younger, I also had the intuition to come to California.
Right.
Okay.
So I decided to go to LA first. I went to LA. I spent 2 weeks here. I just traveled around, and I just really fell in love with California and Los Angeles. I took two more trips. I went to San Diego. I went to San Francisco and LA again. And I just felt really like called to be here. But I was still in Canada. I was Canadian. So there was nothing I wasn't ready to come here yet. I don't think. I had to go through some growth and some healing and some things before I came here. So at that point, I decided I'm going to go teach abroad in Asia. And while I was, applying for jobs, I found Mind Valley, and there was this video that I saw that said happiness was a new productivity, and that really called to me because I had worked for a corporation for a long time, and I really wasn't happy there. So I decided, long story short, to apply to this company. I got hired. I sold all my possessions and sold my condo and moved to Southeast Asia. I lived in Malaysia, where Mind Valley was, for almost 2 years. And at one point, I decided I was ready to move on and go pursue my spiritual path. And I moved to Bali in Thailand. And there I did a lot of growth, a lot of plant medicine work, and met a lot of different amazing people. And then I came back to Canada. And while I was there, while I was there, actually in Asia, I had an affirmation list that I was reading every morning.
Mm-hmm.
And on this affirmation list, there was 3 important ones. First one was, I am living in California with my soulmate. Wait, what are the 3?
I'm living in California. Yeah. I'm with my soulmate.
I'm a great dad.
And I am a great father. Yeah. Because he wanted to be a dad. He wanted kids one day. He loves kids. And what was and he always, you always said that you felt like your soulmate was in California.
I always felt that. Even before I moved to Asia, even when I was still in Canada, I always felt like my soulmate, the person should be. I had this like vision. It was like, sometimes you have these feelings, like it just felt like that's where my soulmate was. That's the woman I'm going to be with, or really be with, is in California. So that's, and then when I came back to Canada, I went to a psychic show. It was a show where they had different, psychic healing stuff, and, they would do readings and little talks and stuff. So I attended this like group talk, and the woman pointed me out from the crowd and said, you just came back from a trip, but you're ready to move on to somewhere else, and it's likely going to be California. Like, she said that to me, and I was blown away by that. And yeah.
Where were you going to go? Where were you going to go with that?
Well, at that point, I was just going to say I wasn't going to go anywhere. I think that was it.
Okay, so that was a huge thing. I thought someone told you to go to California, but she just said that you're meant to go back to, or she said you're going to go back to California. You're going to make another trip to California, or you're going to go back to California.
You just came back from a trip, and now you're going to go somewhere. You're ready to go somewhere else. You're ready now to leave and go somewhere else.
Yeah. So that's what inspired your cocoon phase, because you didn't want to spend another winter.
No.
This gets good. This is where it gets good, guys.
I didn't want to.
You didn't want to spend another winter in Canada.
Yeah, I said, this is it. This is, even before I had messaged her, I just knew that this winter I was not going to be in Canada. I had this like feeling, it was deep inside me. Like, I really knew that whatever happens, even if I don't mean it, nothing, just I knew that I was coming to California before the winter.
And you were stuck in an apartment lease. You had an apartment lease. Yeah. You quit your job, and you were like, I need to either figure out what I'm going to do now, or I'm going to have to get another job.
Yeah.
And
so either I was going to leave or just get another job. Those were my 2 options at the time.
And if he didn't have the opportunity to leave, to travel, or, because he's from Canada, to stay in the United States for a long time.
And in that time, I ended up actually going to Sedona. So that's how I knew what to say to her when she messaged me, because I actually had gone to Sedona. I took one trip to Sedona and LA before I came. I took another trip to LA when I came back from Asia. Went to Sedona, and then I came to LA. And that's
so
when
you
I
felt
knew.
ready, like
So
you
that's
were
when I
like, I'm
knew
ready.
when I
Like,
came here at that time, that after all my growth, I knew that I have to be in California.
and you didn't want to be in, you didn't want to be in Canada anymore. You're like, I'm done with these cold winters.
Yeah, you know, all my friends had, you know, moved on to different lives. I lived like 3 years away from there, so I was in a different vibration from, you know, my old life.
You were doing a lot of visualization.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of visualization, you know, and still reading my affirmations daily. And I was ready. And, you know, when I messaged her, I wasn't even thinking about this stuff. I just messaged her because she showed up again.
I don't even think you knew I was in California, probably.
No, I just, I
or maybe, because I messaged him about Sedona.
Yeah, she messaged me about Sedona. Yeah. So I really just messaged her because I saw the message. It just popped out at me. And I said, why don't just ask her how her trip went? If she went.
And I was just looking for ayahuasca when I messaged you. I had no intentions of, you know.
Right.
Thinking of dating or anything like that. That's why I was thinking, you know, when we first messaged, you know, we would maybe like, oh yeah, we could make a new friend or something. Yeah, but then after a couple of days, we realized like, wow, this is really special. Yeah,
that's the thing. Like when you're on a dating app, you just know there's an intention to date. But when you meet like that, it was
so organic.
Minds, it was so very organic. In both our minds, we weren't thinking about
innocent, organic.
Very innocent.
Yeah.
You know, and we just really fell in love from just our messages, and within a week.
Oh, within 1 week.
Yeah.
I told him to come. I was like, you should just come.
And you know,
it took you a week to decide.
Yeah.
Like he was like, I really need to think about things.
Yeah, and think about figure out what I'm going to do. And within that week, I got out of my lease. You know, I sold a bunch of stuff so I could, like, you know, come here with minimal stuff, and then. Yeah, and then...
wait, hold on. Yeah, you got out of your lease. Oh, this is the best part. I did not want to leave out. Not the best part, but it's a good part. A year before this, a friend of mine, when I was still dating the other person, I was kind of, not dating, but I was like still kind of hung up on him. And, you know, the intuitive told me like, there's, you know, your soulmates out there or whatever. Or no, even before she said this, it was like a year before, or 9 months or something like that. She said, my friend said, she heard about this woman. She sent me this article or something, this woman manifesting her soulmate. And what she did was write out a list of qualities that she wanted to manifest in her soulmate. Well, how did she see her soulmate? Then she set a date. She said, I wanted, you know, a date for this Halloween party. And that was the date. She's like, I want to meet this person so that, you know, before Halloween so that I can take this date to the party. So I did the same thing. I was like, I'll try it. She told me to try it. I tried it just for fun. I wasn't even really like, I didn't even put much thought into it. I was more just appeasing my friend, like, okay, you know, whatever, this is what we're doing. You know, I kind of laughed it off like it was a joke, like almost didn't even truly believe that it could really happen. Wrote a list of qualities, and my deadline was before Thanksgiving. And the reason is because I just love those Christmas movies where people fall in love. And I was like, I really want to meet and my soulmate and fall in love before Thanksgiving so that we could spend the holidays together.
And again, the first message I sent to her was
October 21st. Yeah. And then you decided that you were going to come.
And so I was going to come.
Got out of your lease.
Got on my lease, bought a plane ticket.
Now this, when he... A one-way ticket.
Because if things didn't work out between us, I was just going to stay in California because that's where I want to come anyway. But yeah.
Yeah. And the kids were on break.
Right.
And I didn't want him to come to the house. Everybody, my family, friends, are all like, are you out of your mind? Like,
I hadn't told anyone.
We didn't even have a phone call yet. He had already bought his plane ticket, a one-way plane ticket. We
had only interacted on Meetup. We had never
through messaging.
Through messaging.
Just seeing a picture.
Still no social media, still no pictures, still no.
Well, we might have shared a couple more pictures, but still, it could, you know, that's it. Yeah. So we had one phone call.
And then 3 days before.
No, 2 days.
2 days before.
I was freaking out because he already bought his plane ticket.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I already made space in the closet.
I just said, let's just have a phone call, a video call, just to, you know, see if, you know, if what we're feeling is real.
Yeah. So. I was like, but what if I change my mind? You already got out of your lease. You already bought your ticket. I was like, that I would have felt really bad. Like if we got on this call and I was like, I don't like you.
Yeah. But, you know, we weren't thinking about it too much. Like looking back, it seems like maybe, you know, what we were doing, like what we just decided these things on a whim. But back then we just felt that strong connection to each other and strong pull that we just
Intuition guided us.
Yeah, we just went on our impulses. We just decided,
So we had,
really
we had the
too much
phone
thought.
call. Everything was
phone call was great. We
fine.
were, like,
He's not
smiling
a
and laughing
mass murderer or anything like that. That's what
She
my
was
family was.
some crazy old person. And just put a picture of a pretty girl.
Yeah. So from the moment he messaged me to the day he arrived was 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
So the day we first started talking to the day he moved in was 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And we only messaged each other. That was it. Just through messaging, we decided that we wanted to be together, spend the rest of our lives together, move in together.
Yeah.
And the day we met in person was when I picked him up from the airport.
Yeah. And moved in. Yeah.
And he moved in. And it worked out perfectly because he had to be out of his lease before he had to pay his next month's rent, which just so happened to be right before Thanksgiving. And while the kids were on Thanksgiving break, which was perfect because I didn't want him to come to the house and I didn't want the kids to meet him the same time that I met him. So I wanted us to spend a week together by ourselves, getting to know each other before the kids came back home. The kids
which
came.
was great because we got to know each other.
Oh my God, it was so amazing. We just, we had such an amazing time that first week. The kids came home. We had such a beautiful Thanksgiving together. We made this beautiful vegan Thanksgiving.
When the kids came home and we met the kids, it's like we fell into place so perfectly with the kids. They
just fell in love with Daniel right away. We literally became this little family unit like this. So
it was great.
And the kids were actually going to spend Christmas with their dad, so we celebrated Christmas and Thanksgiving together. So when he first got here, we actually had a Christmas Thanksgiving like kind of combined, and it was so beautiful and so magical. And then we raised the kids together for 2 years.
That was 2017. So we've been together since then.
And then after that, we decided, and we have so many manifestation stories. Like, us moving to LA was a huge manifestation. It's a whole nother story in itself.
It kind of flowed together, similar to our story of falling in love together.
Yeah, it was huge. It was like as big as this. It was almost as big as that. It was a really big manifestation. Like a lot of working parts.
Yeah.
A lot of moving pieces.
Things falling into place at the right time.
Oh my gosh. We've been down in LA. We decided to come down to LA together because we realized, where we were living was a small town.
Yeah. There was much opportunity for us.
Yeah, there wasn't much opportunity.
To do what we wanted to do and become the people we want to be.
Yeah. And we realized that we do have a really big purpose, and that's why we're here.
Yeah.
And we hope you like our story.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we can get it in writing one day.
And hopefully it inspires anybody else who's looking for love to, really decide what you want and maybe write affirmations and just believe it's possible.
Yeah, and that's true because the dating world right now is, I can't think of a word for it, but it doesn't sound fun to me, honestly. Like what everybody's going through, like trying to find love. Oh. I guess that's our time. Anyways, thank you guys so much. This has been really great. We were so happy to
put it up back up before we say that.
Okay. Yeah, so we hope this story inspires you and to give you hope that you can find love organically and you can find your soulmate. You are here for a reason and you have a great purpose in this world. And I know that you will find your one true love. If you believe it and you get yourself in the right vibration and you trust the process and you listen and follow your inner guidance.
Yeah, thank you for listening to our story. We hope you enjoyed it.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, please leave any comments you have. We can include that or not.
Yeah, ask us any questions you want.
Ask us any questions.
Yeah.
And hope to see you in the next video of ours.
And if you have any questions, we can make another video on that too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Bye, guys. Bye.